Do you have any interest at all in owning your own beautiful 5-star cottage and making $5,000 a month after expenses? Hey, we're back at the airport again, and this trip is different. I'm actually heading out to Prince Edward Island now. I've got 3 short-term rentals in an area called Cheltenham Beach, and I also am developing a major Nordic spa with some cottages and cabins and we're going to talk about hospitality and short-term rentals on this trip. So if you've ever thought about owning your own cottage and renting it on Airbnb and making money, then come with me on this journey. All right, so this is like one of the tiny little perks of flying as much as I do. You get to come through these fancy little gates into just another check-in area. We're heading right down there. Listen, let me tell you a reason that you should watch this whole video and pay attention to this, because I've been helping people for about 6 years now to teach them how to buy old dilapidated cottages for basically pennies on the dollar, how to renovate them, and then rent them on the Airbnb. And the best part about this strategy is I have done this a total of 26 times now. Right now, I have 6 cottages in my portfolio, so I've sold a bunch of them over the years, but I've never used a dime of my money to do it. I borrow 100% of the money. Now, I've got a couple of minutes, so let me just stop right here. I'll give you a little tour around. Here's where I'm sitting right now. It's basically the security entrance to the airport, but I'll explain this strategy to you really quickly. So I have a list that I have a mortgage broker friend of mine manage that I've built of thousands of private lenders across Canada. And they love short-term lending. So essentially what I'll do is I'll go find a cottage, and let's say I'll use these numbers. This is my last deal. I bought a cottage for $300,000. It was a 3-season cottage and it was completely worn down. It needed to be gutted and rebuilt. And whenever I do this, I look for 3-season cottages because I can create significant lift. In other words, I can increase the value significantly if I winterize it and turn it into a home. So I bought this place for $300,000, and then I had my construction team get in there, and we figured out that it was going to cost me $150,000 to renovate it completely. Now we're talking, we gutted it. We took it right back to the 2x4s and we re-insulated the whole place. We insulated underneath it properly so that it could be a year-round accommodation. We put a new heating system, new water systems, new plumbing, new electrical, new kitchen, new engineered hardwood flooring, new windows, new roof, everything for $150,000. So I borrowed the $300,000. It's a technique called debt stacking. I got a first mortgage for $225,000 at 7% interest. I got a second mortgage for $75,000 at 9% interest. And I got a third mortgage that covered all the renovations and all of the payments on this money, which was $200,000. I got that for 12%. The overall interest rate on this money was about 9%. I did the entire renovation in 6 months. 8 months later, I went to a credit union and got a new first mortgage for $680,000, which gave me all the money to pay back all the temporary lenders I was telling you about. And I also got an extra $50,000 for myself when I did that. Then once that's finished, I start renting it on Airbnb, and I run ads to the Airbnb listings, and I get influencers in there. I know how to fill these places up and get them up to about 80% occupancy. So when I was finished, the $680,000 mortgage and all the expenses were costing me about $5,000 a month, but I was making $11,000 a month. So I was actually netting on that, and still to this day on that property, I'm making about $5,000, $6,000 a month just from that unit. Now what I'm doing is I'm going out to our properties in PEI for 2 reasons. Number one, I have a meeting with the province of PEI over the big project that we're doing, but we just had a beautiful granite walkway and a fire pit installed on our short-term rental. So I'm actually going to stay in the short-term rental tonight, and I'm going to show you guys this, and I'm going to explain to you why we get our bookings so high when we do this. And you get to come on that trip and learn about this. Just keep watching the video. Next time you see me, I'll be at the cottage. We'll time lapse this for you. All right, I just got into Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. I should have shown you the plane. This is the first time I've flown on a Dash 8 to get out here. It's normally a jet, but I don't know, something happened this time around. Listen, I gotta ask you a serious question. How could you say no to this? Do you have any interest at all in owning your own beautiful 5-star cottage and making $5,000 a month after expenses? Okay, so the short-term rental industry is a mature industry now. It's been around for 10, 15 years when people first started doing this. And because of that, there's a fundamental difference between how somebody who's just getting into the short-term rental game today needs to manage their properties versus how I did it when I first got started. Here's what I've noticed. Here's what's kept my properties full is you want to create an experience. You want to create a destination. If you take a look at anybody who's running, let's say, vacation rental, short-term rentals, cottages, or vacation properties, there are a lot of people that think they can just go find a cottage, put it in an area where people come on vacation, and it's automatically going to sell. Or buy a house in an area where people are already going and it's just going to fill up. It's not the case. You have to make your property stand out from your competitors. So people are going to want to come to it. A case in point, let me show you what I'm in right now. So this is one of 3 cottages that we have in an area of Prince Edward Island, Canada called Chelton Beach. Now in the summertime, let me just walk right down here and show you like an overall amazing view of this so you can see. In the summertime, we have no problem renting these properties. And these properties rent at 100% capacity from basically the May long weekend until September. We rent them for a week at a time. Now, outside of the summertime, we completely change our strategy and we turn it into a destination. But even in the simple accommodation, you have to have an exceptional experience. So when you take a look at this place and you come in here, it feels decadent. Everything about it, everything about the placement, the furnishings that we use in this property is the highest quality. And this is a 3-bedroom property. So there's the master bedroom. It's got a bathroom. There's another bedroom with a queen-size bed in it. And then we have a room for the kids. And in the summertime, we get families that rent this place. A lot of times we'll actually have 2 couples with their kids come and stay at these places. Now in the off season, the whole strategy changes. And what we use these cottages for and what we market them as is a retreat. It's a great place for a couple to come for a couple days just to rekindle their relationship, a romantic getaway. And the way we do that is by the services we've added to this property. So we have a chef that works in the local area that anytime somebody rents the property, they can hire the chef to come in and make them a romantic dinner. And then check this out. This is the crown jewel. This is why people come. Every one of our cottages, we install a hot tub and a cold plunge right outside here. So when we look at this property, whenever somebody stays here, they get this as well. So they get a hot tub and a cold plunge, and over there Mark is getting the fire going for us, the fire pit. And so and we have these beautiful robes that they can wear when they're here, and people can hang the robe up here, jump in the hot tub, stare at the stars, and have a wonderful experience around there. Now what that does, that absolutely differentiates us from every other cottage that's out there. It makes it completely different. And when we're marketing it, we don't market, hey, come stay in this area, there's a cottage here. We say, here's an amazing location that's 40 minutes from Charlottetown, 20 minutes from Summerside, 55 minutes from Moncton, New Brunswick, where you can escape from reality with your significant other for a short period of time. Makes all the difference in the world. All right, let's just sit down here and have a little chat about this. I mean, so ultimately, there's a lot of money to be made in short-term rentals if you do it the right way. I'm averaging on these 3 cottages about $5,000 a month in net income after expenses. So that expenses includes my mortgages, the maintenance guy that helps me keep the lawns clean and keep everything under control, the cleaners, everything in, I'm making about $5,000 per unit. So I've got 3 units here in a row, $15,000. And now that includes, I borrowed 100% of the money to buy these properties. And I also borrowed all the money to buy the hot tubs and all that stuff. So they're 100% financed. But think about the revenue you can make on these properties. I'm making on each one of these about $12,000 a month, less expenses, about $5,000 a month. Now, here's what's really amazing. There's another property that I have that you guys, most of you already know about because I'm very public about everything that I do. That is in Stony Lake, Ontario. And we did the same thing there. We borrowed a total of $1 million to buy that property, rehab it, and get it to the standard that it's at now, included doing all the landscaping, the new fire pit, the mini Nordic spa. We increased the value to $2 million. So we have 50% equity. We have $1 million in equity in that property. And the blue cottage, there's a big bungalow on that property that is 1,600 square feet. We don't rent that. We use that as our private family cottage. But that red cottage covers all the expenses for that property, and I make about $4,000 a month with it. So we have 6 properties right now. The average is $4,800 between all of them. So you're talking $28,000 a month in NOI, net operating income, that goes to the bottom line, that covers expenses and everything that we do. But here's the best part. I get to stay at these cottages with my family. So my family, my son lives in Scotland, my daughter lives in Ottawa. My wife and I, we meet at these cottages a couple times a year, spend a couple weeks at each of the cottages. We live our life at cottages. And we still make money doing it. All we do is when we want to be at the cottages at the beginning of the year, we just block out the time that we want to use them and we rent them the rest of the time. It's really simple. We use a really great PMS system, a project management system for renting the properties. We used a platform called HostAway. I strongly encourage you to learn about HostAway and take a look at it. What HostAway allows us to do is from one location, manage the property on all the OTAs, on all the booking platforms. So you can rent our cottages on Expedia, on Booking.com, on Airbnb, on Cottages, Canada. I mean, every location you can possibly think of, our cottages are for rent, and we run it all through HostAway. So if somebody books on Airbnb, they ask us a question in the chat on Airbnb, it's managed on HostAway. We can change our prices right from HostAway. We can keep the prices all the same, or we can give people a better price if they book from our website, which we do a lot. We give them a better price if they book from our website than from Airbnb. We can manage all of this with HostAway. So think about this, like maybe you're not into short-term rentals. Maybe you're not even into real estate investing. But let me ask you this about quality of life and your family. Imagine if you had a beautiful 5-star, $1 million cottage on the perfect lake in the perfect surrounding for your lifestyle, and you had it for free, meaning that you borrow all the money to acquire the property, you start renting it, you use it whenever you want. When you're not using it, you rent it, and the money you make in short-term rental covers all the expenses. Why not do that?